So I have a question for you because I work with a lot of, again, our partners or ISOs, independent sales agents. A lot of them have just focused on, restaurants,
Hmm.
hospitality, retail, things that are easy to get approved, underwrite. They want to just go and close and set up, build their portfolio. What advice do you have for like an ISO that is now looking to maybe go after that high risk business, maybe go after some of those industries that their current processor won't accept? And because they've been turned down and they spent a lot of time trying to get an account approved, they just stopped doing high risk. What do you recommend to them? Because there is a lot of revenue you can earn
Hmm.
by by going and getting those type of accounts.
I think that in my experience with ISOs, and COVID has taught us a lot about diversifying
Mhm.
your portfolio, but I think the gaps that GOAT feels is really monetizing your nose and creating a waterfall strategy around all of the opportunities and prospects that are good underserved merchants. You just don't have a home for them, or you don't know who to go to for guidance or advisory, or what does an underwriting package look like for this. And so I think that is across the board. I think if ISOs want to survive the next 5 years, you need to play outside your lane. You need to develop and collaborate with different companies such as ISV Pay or GOAT or NMI, map advisors. You need to prepare yourself to say yes to more opportunities and have that waterfall strategy available to you and your agents. Salespeople are salespeople. It doesn't matter if they're selling to a restaurant or an e-commerce, nutraceutical, or travel company. They're salespeople, and if you unleash those chains from salespeople, they will find those opportunities that maybe no at your current processor, but working through GOAT, we can certainly help you navigate and build and tailor a waterfall strategy, uh, and find yeses for hard to place merchants that have a lot of different
So
margin.
so if I'm an ISO and I'm now looking to maybe go after that business and bring it to you, do I need to be an expert in high risk to bring it to GOAT?
Absolutely not. I mean, for GOAT, the whole purpose of our strategy was to be the muscle, be the advisory, be the guidance for, your downstream, or even, if you're a wholesale ISO, we have a few wholesale ISOs that we offer our services to. We do trainings for their downstream, educate them on these hard to place merchants, and you'd be surprised what they bring to the table. Their neighbor was the top nutraceutical e-commerce guru that they just never thought to ask, or the coach of their kids' soccer team is running this giant e-commerce pharmaceutical company. There's a lot of opportunity available to sales agents if they only knew they could target those verticals. And I think GOAT does a really, really good job of corralling resources around salespeople under those wholesale and retail organizations, and really helping guide them through the process so it doesn't feel frustrating. It doesn't feel like a ton of friction or it's wasting their time. We really take the burden and the heavy lifting off of them for that.
Where do you see, I'm going to be writing a white paper for ETA this year, and one of the titles subjects that I'm doing is high risk.
Mm-hmm.
And this is outside of your question, but where do you see the cannabis industry going? Because I know that I'm hearing that it's going to get legalized federally. Where do you see that opportunity now for Go payments?
I think it's an opportunity for any office if they identify someone who has a need for adding a payment solution, although it's a moving target, and although there's a lot of regulatory segments to that particular vertical, and you have to stay attuned to that. What we've done at GOAT is make sure we align ourselves with technology and experts that are staying very much attuned with that moving target. So when an opportunity arises, much like our apparatus with banks, and much like, having an understanding of how those underwriting policies work, we have targeted specific technology to work with our agents and our wholesale and retail ISOs to make sure that they have the latest and greatest info. Because when it comes to cannabis, it is a moving target. It is a moving vertical. This is not something you can just sell a terminal to and accept all payment methods.
You've heard horror stories, so
and
it's bad for the merchant because
Yes.
they'll hold all their funds, and so a salesperson might go in there and say, "I'll get you set up with a different MCC code." But it's the worst thing you can do to that merchant. So,
and it's the worst thing you could do for map advisors, because once they figure out you are not in compliance or in diligence,
Yep.
that's going to change real quick.
True story.
But
Valuations change
Yeah.
overnight when information like that comes out.
But for GOAT, I think for us in that particular vertical, just making sure that we are aligned with the technology partners to service our partners, because we don't want to give advice in areas where we don't have the right muscle ourselves for. So I think for us, we've aligned ourselves with, a number of different technologies to bring on the phone and offer guidance as well.
and you have different programs too, because I know that you have a program where if an ISO wants to really be hands-on and handle getting all the underwriting, criteria from the merchant and do, or you have a program where they could just refer you the business and you guys take over from the start and handle all of it, right? Do you have
And that's the agility and the nimbleness part, is we can tailor programs based on their expertise, their comfort, the downstream that they're trying to build. I think for me, targeting those waterfall strategy ISOs like wholesale and retail ISOs that don't have a good strategy for what's terminated, what's declined. These are great merchants. Their bank just simply doesn't want to approve it. And that could be for a number of different reasons, but they're good businesses. And being able to quickly navigate those deals over to GOAT and us offer that guidance and advisory is what really builds that trust and with the merchant, because now they're still going to you for assistance on getting a merchant account, but for the sales experience on their end, that advisory and guidance approach has really made a big difference for us at GOAT.
I see real value. I know that when I talk to our partners, I always tell them, you can just refer the business to GOAT, and I think once they start seeing the revenue come in, now NMI has a lot of fraud prevention solutions that there are extensions that they can add that can actually help minimize chargebacks and mitigate that risk, that can work hand in hand. And GOAT, of course, you guys are one of our partners, so
NMI is a great complementary product in our particular segment that we work with, and we recommend NMI quite a bit. For the multi-mid, for the extensions, and you guys just have an impeccable crew over there that is really good at helping ISOs navigate the ISO space, whether it's white label or using the NMI branding and the what comes with that. And you're a great networker. You manage to help these guys monetize areas of their business that they otherwise just would consider, lost income and not monetizing it.
I love the people I work with. So when I have a partner, I want to help them and I learn about their business. And I know that if I introduce them to you, I'm not going to get a call saying I didn't hear back. They didn't. I've never had someone come back and say that you didn't do a great job for them, or that you didn't respond. I see you respond immediately. You're really kind, because you always say, okay, I'm going to cut Naomi off this email chain, so I'm not. But you take, and I see how quick you are at taking care of them, responding. And there are so many folks out there that don't understand the high risk business, and I think that it's real value to add that.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, the nimbleness, you can start off as a referral partner, and once you start getting more comfortable, we quickly navigate you into a different type of relationship where the margins and the revenue share are different. And I think Sarah and I come from much of the same idea that communicating with your partners quickly, helping them solve these complicated questions that they might have about certain verticals is so important to me. And that's why you see emails come through at all hours of the night. Sarah's the same way. If I text her at 10 p.m., I'll get an answer at 10:01.
No, I see how responsive you are, and I appreciate that. And for me, I want to be able to help our partners grow their business. And I know that if I just hand it over to you for the high risk, they're going to grow their business. And I know it's going to actually help my company board more accounts into NMI. So
If it's
always a
important to the
win-win.
partner, yeah, if it's important to the partner, it's important to me. And I've really kept that core principle in my business development. I've, gone to Gretchen when I worked at more of a corporate atmosphere and said, hey, it's important to the ISO to see this or that. And working with Zahara or anybody else on the legal side, I never have been a fan of one-sided agreements. I think that the best partnerships and collaborations are the ones where everybody walks away a winner. And that has also been pretty liberating at GOAT to build an atmosphere for our partners where they really feel like when they do business with GOAT, it's because they wanted to do business with GOAT.